The woman's fingers trembled as she reached for the smallest loaf of bread on the discount rack. Her son stood beside her, 7 years old, wearing sneakers held together with duct tape. The fluorescent bulbs overhead hummed against the tile floor of the grocery store, casting everything in harsh white light. She counted the bills in her wallet for the third time, $11.43. Not enough. Never enough. She returned the bread to the shelf. The boy tugged her sleeve. His voice came out small, practiced in not asking for too much. "Mom." She knelt beside him, her knees protesting. The jeans she wore had been mended so many times the patches had patches. Her hands, rough from years of cleaning office buildings at night, cupped his face. She leaned close. The words came out barely audible, meant only for him. "We'll eat tomorrow." She didn't see the man standing 3 feet away, examining a display of imported olive oils. Didn't notice his hand freeze mid-reach. Didn't know that her whisper, soft as it was, had carried just far enough. The man's name was Raymond Cross. His suit cost more than most people's monthly rent. The watch on his wrist could have fed a family for a year. He'd built his fortune in commercial real estate, transforming empty lots into gleaming towers. Forbes had profiled him twice. He owned homes in 3 cities. He'd been reaching for a $40 bottle of oil without checking the price, because he'd stopped checking prices 15 years ago. He heard her whisper. His hand dropped to his side. Raymond turned slowly, watching the woman stand up. She was young, maybe 30, but her face carried the weight of someone twice that age. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in a ponytail that hadn't seen a proper cut in months. She wore a jacket too thin for the November cold, and when she moved, he could see the careful way she placed her feet, like someone whose shoes hurt but couldn't afford to show it. The boy looked up at her with complete trust. No whining. No tantrum. Just acceptance. We'll eat tomorrow. Raymond's throat tightened. He'd grown up in a house with food. Not abundance, but enough. His father had worked construction. His mother had been a nurse. They'd struggled, saved, pushed him toward college. He'd made something of himself. Built an empire. Donated to charities, wrote checks to food banks, attended fundraisers where people ate $75 plates of salmon while discussing hunger. He'd never heard it before. Not like this. Not 3 feet away in a grocery store on a Tuesday evening, whispered by a woman trying to protect her child from the shame of their emptiness. The woman took her son's hand. They moved toward the exit. Raymond watched them go, his feet rooted to the industrial tile. Every instinct in his business-trained mind told him to let them walk away. Don't get involved. You can't save everyone. There are systems for this. Organizations. Proper channels. But his body was already moving. He caught up to them near the automatic doors. The woman glanced at him, then quickly away. She'd learned not to make eye contact with men in expensive suits. Learned that people like him look through people like her. "Excuse me," Raymond said. She walked faster. "Please," he tried again. "Just a moment." She stopped. Her shoulders tensed. The boy pressed closer to her leg. Raymond saw the calculation in her eyes, the same calculation every vulnerable person made when approached by a stranger. Run or stay. Trust or flee. He held up both hands, showing he meant no harm. "I couldn't help but overhear," he said quietly. "In the store." Her face went pale, then red. Shame flooded her features. She'd been caught. The one thing she tried to keep private, their hunger, their poverty, their desperate situation, had been witnessed. Heard. Known. "I don't need your pity," she said. Her voice was stronger than he expected. Dignified. "We're fine." "I'm sure you are," Raymond said. He meant it. Surviving on $11 and telling your child you'll eat tomorrow took more strength than most people would ever need. "But I'd like to propose something." Her eyes narrowed. Suspicion. He understood. The world had taught her that men with money who approached desperate women wanted something in return. "Not that," he said quickly, reading her expression. "Nothing like that. I own a restaurant. Downtown. It's closed for renovations right now, but the kitchen's still functional. My chef comes in every evening to test new menu items. There's always too much food. It goes to waste." She stared at him. "Come by tonight," Raymond continued. Around 7. The address is 412 Market Street. Kitchen entrance in the alley. There's a blue door. Knock twice. Chef's name is Antoine. I'll call ahead. He'll have dinner ready. For both of you. The woman's jaw tightened. I don't accept charity. It's not charity, Raymond said. It's waste reduction. You'd be doing me a favor. Health department gets particular about throwing away prepared food. This way it gets eaten instead of dumped. He was lying. There was no health department issue. But he'd learned that pride was sometimes the last thing people had, and you couldn't strip it away while trying to help. The boy looked up at his mother. Hope flickered in his eyes. The kind of hope children have before the world teaches them not to hope too much. The woman's hands clenched into fists. Raymond could see the war happening inside her. Hunger versus dignity. Need versus pride. The maternal instinct to feed her child against the terror of accepting help from a stranger. One meal, she finally said. Her voice cracked. We'll come for one meal. And then we're done. Raymond nodded. One meal. He turned to walk away, then stopped. I didn't catch your name. Jennifer, she said quietly. Jennifer Torres. Jennifer, he repeated. I'm Raymond. It's good to meet you. He walked back into the store, pulling his phone from his pocket. His fingers flew across the screen. Text to Antoine. Asterisk need you at Market Street Kitchen by 6:45. Prepare your best meal. 2 people. Mother and young son. Make it special. No questions. I'll explain later. Asterisk. But Raymond wasn't thinking about dinner. He was thinking about that whisper. Asterisk we'll eat tomorrow. Asterisk 4 words that revealed an entire universe of suffering. How many times had she said that? How many meals had they skipped? How many nights had she gone to bed with her stomach cramping while her son slept, trying not to think about breakfast that wouldn't come? He stood in the canned goods aisle, olive oil forgotten. Around him, people shopped, filled their carts, complained about prices while dropping $100 on groceries without breaking a sweat. None of them knew. None of them had heard. For people watching from around the country, around the world, stories like Jennifer's played out every day in countless aisles, countless whispers, countless moments of quiet desperation. The question was whether anyone would stop to listen, whether anyone would care enough to act. Raymond cared. And before the night was over, Jennifer Torres would discover that some encounters in grocery stores weren't random at all. That sometimes the universe placed the right person in the right place at exactly the right moment. That her whispered words, meant only for her son's ears, would echo into a future she couldn't yet imagine. The automatic doors slid shut behind her as she left. Raymond stood alone among the shoppers, his mind already racing. One meal wouldn't be enough. One meal never was. But it was a start. And Raymond Cross, millionaire real estate developer, philanthropist, Forbes list regular, was about to learn that the best investments weren't always measured in property values and profit margins. Sometimes they were measured in whispers. Jennifer stood outside the blue door at 6:58 p.m., her son's hand gripped tightly in her own. The alley smelled like garbage and grease, and every instinct screamed at her to turn around. This was how people disappeared. This was how children were taken. This was how women ended up as statistics. But her son was hungry, had been hungry, would be hungry tomorrow unless something changed. She knocked twice. The door opened immediately. A man in chef's white stood there, mid-50s, with kind eyes and flour dusting his forearms. You must be Jennifer, he said in a slight French accent. I'm Antoine. Please, come in. The kitchen was warm. Stainless steel gleamed under bright lights. Something incredible was cooking. She could smell garlic, butter, herbs she couldn't name. Her stomach clenched so hard it hurt. Antoine gestured to a small table in the corner, already set with real plates and cloth napkins. Sit, please. Dinner is almost ready. Jennifer's legs felt weak as she lowered herself into the chair. Her son climbed up beside her, eyes wide. He'd never been in a restaurant kitchen before. Never been anywhere like this. Raymond called, Antoine said, stirring something on the stove. He said to make something special. So I made coq au vin. Chicken braised in wine with mushrooms and pearl onions. Also fresh bread, a green salad, and chocolate mousse for dessert. Jennifer's throat closed. She couldn't speak. Couldn't process that this was real. Antoine brought the food. The portions were generous but not overwhelming. Not insulting. He'd plated it beautifully, like they were paying customers in the dining room. Like they mattered. Eat, he said gently. Take your time. Her son looked at her for permission. She nodded, not trusting her voice. He picked up his fork. The first bite brought tears to her eyes. Not because it was the most incredible thing she'd ever tasted, though it was, but because it was warm. Because it was real. Because for the first time in 3 days, her son was eating. They ate slowly. Antoine worked nearby, giving them privacy but staying present. Safe. Kind. When her son finished his plate, Antoine brought seconds without being asked. When Jennifer tried to refuse, he simply said, "The recipe made too much. It will spoil." Another light told with grace. They were finishing dessert when Raymond arrived. He came through the back door, still in his suit but with his tie loosened. He saw them at the table and smiled. Not the practiced smile of a businessman. Something genuine. "How was dinner?" he asked. "Perfect," Jennifer managed. "Thank you." Raymond pulled up a chair. "I'd like to talk to you, if you have a few minutes." Suspicion returned. Here it came. The catch. The price. "I need someone," Raymond said. "My office building downtown, the Cross Tower. You might have seen it, needs a new head of janitorial services. The person we had just retired. It's full-time, benefits included, union wages. Starts at $22 an hour." Jennifer stared at him. $22 an hour. That was, she did the math in her head. $43,000 a year. More money than she'd ever made. More than she'd dreamed of making. "Why me?" she whispered. "Because you're surviving on $11 and still have the strength to tell your son you'll eat tomorrow instead of begging," Raymond said simply. "That's the kind of resilience I want on my team. That's the kind of person who doesn't quit when things get hard." "I don't have experience managing." "You'll learn," Raymond interrupted. "I'm not hiring experience. I'm hiring character. The rest can be taught." Her hands shook. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. Men didn't offer jobs to women they met in grocery stores. Millionaires didn't rescue single mothers out of kindness. There had to be a catch. Raymond seemed to read her mind. "The job is real. The offer is legitimate. You'll interview with HR tomorrow at 9 a.m. if you're interested. Here's the address." He slid a business card across the table. "They're expecting you. The position is yours if you want it." Jennifer picked up the card. Embossed lettering. Heavy stock. Real. "I also took the liberty of calling a friend who manages affordable housing," Raymond continued. "There's a 2-bedroom apartment that just became available. First month's rent is covered by a city program for families in transition. It's safe, clean, close to good schools. If you're interested, she can show it to you tomorrow afternoon." Jennifer's chest heaved. She couldn't breathe. Couldn't process. One whisper in a grocery store had led to this? One overheard moment had changed everything? "I don't understand," she said. "Why are you doing this?" Raymond was quiet for a moment. "My mother used to clean office buildings at night," he finally said. "She'd come home at 3 in the morning, sleep for 4 hours, then get up to make my breakfast. She did that for 15 years. Destroyed her back, ruined her knees. She died when I was 25, still working those buildings because she couldn't afford to retire." His voice went rough. "I never forgot what that looked like. What it cost her. When I made my first million, I swore I'd pay attention. Really pay attention. To the people who clean buildings, who stock shelves, who do the invisible work that keeps the world running." He looked at Jennifer directly. "I heard you today. Really heard you. And I can't unhear it. Can't pretend I didn't. I have resources. You have need. The math is simple." Tears ran down Jennifer's face. She didn't wipe them away. Her son reached over and took her hand, his small fingers wrapping around hers. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes to the job. Yes to the apartment. Yes to all of it." Raymond smiled. "Good. HR at 9. Don't be late." He stood to leave, then paused. "One more thing. There's a food pantry that operates out of my building's community room. It's open to all employees and their families. No questions asked. Until your first paycheck comes through, you use it. Antoine will also pack you meals to take home. Every night for the next 2 weeks. Non-negotiable. Jennifer couldn't speak. Could only nod. Raymond left. Antoine began packing containers with enough food for 3 days. Jennifer sat at the table, her son beside her, and felt the world tilt back toward possible. She'd woken up that morning with $11 and no hope. She'd go to bed tonight with a job offer, an apartment lead, and enough food to last until the weekend. All because she'd whispered 4 words in a grocery store. All because someone had listened. Outside, in cities and towns across the country, people were making similar whispers. Speaking quiet desperation into grocery aisles, parking lots, waiting rooms. Most of those whispers went unheard. Most of that suffering stayed invisible. But every once in a while, someone listened. Someone acted. Someone decided that proximity to pain demanded a response. Raymond Cross had responded. And Jennifer Torres's life had just pivoted on the axis of a single overheard moment. The night was cold when they left the restaurant, but Jennifer barely felt it. Her son carried a container of chocolate mousse in both hands, walking carefully so it wouldn't spill. She carried everything else: the food, the business card, the apartment address, the hope. Tomorrow she'd interview for a real job. Tomorrow she'd see an apartment with heat and working appliances. Tomorrow her son would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Tomorrow had become possible again. The HR director's office smelled like coffee and printer paper. Jennifer sat in a chair that didn't wobble, wearing the one professional outfit she owned, a blazer from Goodwill and pants she'd ironed that morning using a neighbor's iron. Her son was at a free daycare program the building offered. Raymond had arranged it with one phone call. The director, a woman named Patricia Coleman, reviewed Jennifer's application with reading glasses perched on her nose. No resume. No references. Just an application filled out in Jennifer's careful handwriting. "Mr. Cross spoke very highly of you," Patricia said. Jennifer's stomach dropped. This was where it fell apart. Where someone asked why a millionaire was personally recommending someone with no management experience. Where the questions got invasive and the opportunity evaporated. But Patricia just smiled. "He has good instincts about people. Always has. If he says you're right for this position, I trust his judgment." She closed the folder. "The job is yours. You start Monday. 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Health insurance kicks in after 90 days. Dental and vision included. There's a union rep who'll walk you through everything this afternoon." Jennifer's hands gripped the armrests. "That's it." "That's it," Patricia confirmed. "Welcome to Cross Tower." The apartment viewing happened at 2. The housing manager, a woman named Rita who wore comfortable shoes and spoke in kind, efficient sentences, showed Jennifer a 2-bedroom unit on the 4th floor. Windows that actually closed all the way. Heat that worked. A refrigerator without rust stains. Floors that didn't slope. "The program covers first month's rent," Rita explained. "After that, rent is based on 30% of your income. You'll never pay more than you can afford. It adjusts automatically." Jennifer walked through the empty rooms. Her son ran ahead, shouting about having his own bedroom. She stopped in the kitchen, running her hand along the countertop. Laminate, not granite. Basic white appliances, not stainless steel. But clean. Safe. His. "I'll take it," she said. Rita pulled out paperwork. "You can move in Friday. I'll have the keys ready by noon." That evening, Jennifer returned to the restaurant kitchen. Antoine had food waiting: pasta with meat sauce, garlic bread, a container of fruit salad. But there was also a manila envelope on the table. "Raymond left this," Antoine said. Jennifer opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a check for $1,500 and a handwritten note. Jennifer, this is not charity. This is an advance on your first paycheck, which I'm authorizing as building owner. Use it for whatever you need: clothes for work, supplies for the apartment, shoes for your son. You'll pay it back through automatic payroll deduction over the next 6 months, $25 per paycheck. You're not being rescued. You're being given a fair chance to succeed. What you do with that chance is entirely up to you. See you Monday. Raymond Jennifer read it 3 times. An advance, not a gift. With repayment terms. Maintaining her dignity even while helping. She'd pay it back. Every penny. But first, she'd buy her son shoes that fit. Monday morning arrived cold and clear. Jennifer wore new work pants and a polo shirt with a cross tower logo. Her son started at a new school, walking distance from the apartment, with a free breakfast program. She'd packed his lunch in a real lunchbox bought with Raymond's advance. The job was hard. Not physically, though there was plenty of physical work, but mentally. Learning schedules, managing staff, balancing budgets. Jennifer stayed late every night her first week, studying the systems, memorizing the procedures. She asked questions, took notes, refused to fail. Raymond appeared on Thursday. He was walking the building, chatting with security guards and maintenance workers. When he saw Jennifer, he nodded. "How's the first week?" "Good," she said. "Challenging, but good." "You'll do fine," Raymond said. Then he moved on. No hovering, no checking up, just acknowledgement. That weekend, Jennifer stood in her apartment and realized she'd worked 5 straight days. Earned 5 days of wages. Her son had eaten 15 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, every single day. They'd slept in beds with actual mattresses, showered in hot water, watched the small TV she'd bought used from a neighbor. Normal. They were living normal. But on Sunday evening, as she was preparing dinner in her own kitchen, there was a knock at the door. Jennifer opened it to find Patricia from HR. "Do you have a minute?" Patricia asked. Jennifer's chest tightened. She'd done something wrong. Messed up already. Lost the job. But Patricia was smiling. "Raymond asked me to give you this." She handed over another envelope. Inside was a letter on cross-tower letterhead and a photograph. The letter explained that Raymond had done some research. He'd tracked down information about Jennifer's father, a man who died when Jennifer was 12. A construction worker who'd been killed in an on-site accident. The photograph showed Raymond's father and Jennifer's father standing together 28 years ago. They'd worked the same job site. They'd been friends. The letter continued. Raymond's father had mentioned Jennifer's father many times over the years. Had talked about his friend who died too young, leaving behind a daughter. Had always wondered what happened to that family. Raymond had found out. "He wanted you to know," Patricia said quietly, "that this wasn't random. That your father once lent his father $200 when Raymond's family was about to be evicted. That money kept them housed through a rough winter. Raymond's father never forgot. He died 6 years ago, but he used to say that debt could never be repaid." Jennifer stared at the photograph. Her father's face, young and smiling. Standing beside a man she recognized from photos in Raymond's office. "Raymond considers this a down payment," Patricia continued, "on a debt his family owes yours." Jennifer couldn't speak. The room blurred. Her father, dead for 18 years, was still protecting her, still providing. His single act of kindness to a struggling coworker had echoed across decades, landing here, now, in this moment. Her son came to stand beside her. She showed him the photograph. "This is your grandfather," she said. "He was a good man. He helped people." The boy studied the photo seriously. "Like Mr. Raymond helped us." "Exactly like that," Jennifer whispered. Patricia left. Jennifer sat at her kitchen table, the photograph in front of her. The connection between past and present hummed in the air. Her father's generosity had saved Raymond's family. Raymond's gratitude had saved theirs. Kindness compounded across time. That night, as her son slept in his own bedroom, Jennifer made a decision. She'd succeed at this job. Excel at it. And when she had the means, years from now, maybe, but someday, she'd find someone whispering "we'll eat tomorrow" in a grocery store aisle. And she'd listen. 6 months passed. Jennifer Torres became head of janitorial services not just in name, but in practice. She implemented new scheduling systems that gave workers better hours. She negotiated with suppliers to cut costs without cutting quality. She learned the names of every person on her team, 42 people total, and learned their stories too. Maria, who sent money home to Honduras every month. James, who was working 2 jobs to pay off medical debt from his daughter's cancer treatment. Teresa, who was 63 and couldn't afford to retire. Each person had a story. Each story mattered. Raymond noticed. He called her into his office in March. "I'm expanding," he said without preamble. "Buying 3 more buildings. I want you to oversee facilities management for all of them. Promotion comes with a salary increase to $68,000. You'd be managing managers. Interested?" Jennifer didn't hesitate. "Yes." "Good. You start next month." But Raymond wasn't finished. He leaned back in his chair, studying her. "I've been thinking about something. That night in the grocery store, you said you don't accept charity. You wanted to work for everything you received." "I meant it," Jennifer said. "I know you did. So I have a proposal." Raymond pulled out a folder. "I'm starting a foundation. The Cross-Torres Foundation for Working Families. Its mission is to identify people in crisis and provide pathways to stability. Not handouts. Pathways. Job placement, housing assistance, child care support, education grants. All designed to be hand-ups, not handouts." He slid the folder across the desk. "I want you to run it. Part-time at first, alongside your regular job. Eventually full-time if it grows the way I think it will. You'd identify the people who need help, design the programs, oversee the implementation." Jennifer opened the folder. The foundation was real. Already established. Funded with $2 million from Raymond's personal fortune. "Why me?" she asked. "Because you've been there," Raymond said simply. "You know what it feels like. You know what helps and what doesn't. You know the difference between dignity and dependence. I can write checks, but I can't design the programs. That takes someone who's lived it." Jennifer looked at the paperwork. The mission statement. The program outlines. The budget allocations. "I'll do it," she said. The foundation launched in June. The first family they helped was a single father whose car had died, costing him his job because he couldn't get to work. The foundation paid for repairs and connected him with a company closer to his home. He was working again within a week. The second family was a mother of 3 whose landlord had illegally evicted her. The foundation paid for legal representation. She got her apartment back, and the landlord paid damages. The third was a teenager aging out of foster care with nowhere to go. The foundation placed him in transitional housing and enrolled him in community college. He was studying engineering. Jennifer kept a board in the foundation office. Every person they helped got a photo pinned to it. Every success story got documented. By August, the board was full. Local news picked up the story. A reporter came to interview Raymond and Jennifer. The piece ran on the evening news, a 3-minute segment about a millionaire who'd overheard a whisper and decided to act. The response was immediate. Donations flooded in. Other families reached out, requesting help. Volunteers signed up. The foundation had to hire additional staff to handle the demand. But the most surprising response came from inside Cross Tower itself. Antoine, the chef, approached Jennifer one afternoon. "I want to help," he said. "The restaurant is doing well. I can donate meals. Hot meals delivered to families in the program. Every week." Maria from the janitorial staff came next. "My husband is a mechanic. He'll fix cars for foundation families at cost. Just parts, no labor." James offered to tutor children in math. Teresa volunteered to babysit for parents who needed to interview for jobs. The staff of Cross Tower, the people Raymond had always paid attention to, always treated with dignity, began building their own network of support. Person by person, they created a safety net woven from small acts of generosity. By October, the foundation had helped 83 families. The board in Jennifer's office had been replaced by a wall. Photos covered it from floor to ceiling. Faces of people who'd been on the edge and been pulled back. Raymond stood in front of that wall one evening, studying the images. Jennifer stood beside him. "My father would have loved this," Raymond said quietly. "He always said that construction workers built more than buildings. They built communities. He would have seen this as community building." "My father too," Jennifer said. "He wouldn't have understood the business side, but he'd have understood helping people who needed help." Raymond turned to her. "The foundation needs to grow. I'm putting in another $5 million. I want to expand to other cities. Start in places where the need is greatest. You travel, set up new offices, train new staff. It's a lot to ask. Jennifer thought about her son. 10 years old now. Thriving in school. Safe, fed, happy. She thought about her apartment, her job, her stability. All because someone had listened. I'll do it, she said. The first expansion happened in December. A new office in Detroit. Another in Atlanta. A third in Phoenix. Each office operated on the same principle: identify families in crisis, provide pathways to stability, maintain dignity throughout. By year's end, the foundation had helped over 200 families. The wall of photos had become a website, a database, a testament to what was possible when someone decided that proximity to suffering demanded response. Jennifer Torres, who'd once whispered "we'll eat tomorrow" in a grocery store, now oversaw a multi-million-dollar foundation that ensured other families wouldn't have to make that whisper. And Raymond Cross, who'd built his fortune on real estate, discovered that his most valuable investment had nothing to do with property. It had to do with listening. 3 years after that night in the grocery store, Jennifer Torres stood in a different kind of aisle. This one belonged to a newly opened community center in the building where she'd once worked night shifts cleaning offices. Raymond had purchased the building, renovated it, and transformed it into a hub for the foundation's work. The grand opening drew 200 people. Families the foundation had helped. Staff members. Volunteers. Local politicians who wanted to be photographed with success. News cameras capturing everything. But Jennifer's attention was on the corner of the room where her son stood talking with Raymond. The boy was almost 11 now, tall for his age, confident in a way she'd never been as a child. He wore glasses. They'd discovered he needed them during a health screening the foundation provided. He played saxophone in the school band, an instrument the foundation had helped purchase through their music program. He was thriving. Raymond caught her eye and smiled. He'd aged in 3 years, his hair more gray than brown now. But his eyes still held that intensity she'd first seen in the grocery store. Still looking. Still listening. The foundation had expanded to 8 cities. They'd helped over 1,000 families. The model had been studied by researchers, profiled in national magazines, replicated by other organizations. What had started with one whispered sentence had become a movement. But today's event had a specific purpose. Jennifer walked to the podium as the crowd quieted. 3 years ago, she began, I stood in a grocery store and told my son we'd eat tomorrow. I thought no one heard me. I thought we were invisible. Her voice was steady, strong. The voice of someone who'd traveled a long distance from that moment. Raymond Cross heard me. But more than that, he acted. He didn't just feel bad for us. He didn't just think that's sad and move on with his life. He did something. She looked out at the faces. Some were familiar, families the foundation had helped. Others were new, people hoping to receive help. All of them carried stories of struggle. This foundation exists because one person decided that hearing suffering meant responding to it. That proximity to pain created responsibility. That wealth came with obligation. Raymond shifted uncomfortably. He'd never liked public praise. But it also exists, Jennifer continued, because my father once lent $200 to Raymond's father. Because a construction worker who barely had enough for his own family decided that another family's need mattered more than his comfort. Because kindness compounds across time. She held up the photograph, her father and Raymond's father, standing together on a job site 28 years ago. Generosity echoes, Jennifer said. It ripples forward through decades, touching people who haven't been born yet, creating futures that wouldn't otherwise exist. She paused, looking directly at the families in the audience. If you're here because you need help, you'll get it. Not charity, not pity. A pathway, a fair chance to build something stable. And someday, when you're on the other side of your struggle, you'll help someone else. That's how this works. That's how we build communities that take care of each other. The applause was loud, sustained. People stood. Later, after the speeches and the ribbon cutting and the tours of the new facility, Jennifer found herself alone in the pantry room. Shelves stocked with food. a refrigerator full of fresh produce, a freezer with meat and frozen vegetables. Everything free for families who needed it. She heard footsteps behind her. Raymond entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. "Thought you might need this," he said, handing her one. They stood in comfortable silence, looking at the shelves. "I've been thinking about that night," Raymond finally said. "In the grocery store. What would have happened if I'd walked away? If I'd pretended not to hear?" "I'd have figured something out," Jennifer said. "I always did." "Maybe," Raymond agreed. "But it would have been harder, longer, more painful." He turned to face her. "I grew up thinking that success meant building things, making money, acquiring property, and that mattered. Still matters. But that night taught me that the most important thing I could build wasn't a tower. It was a bridge between people who had resources and people who needed them." Jennifer smiled. "You built both. The towers pay for the bridges." "True," Raymond said. "But the bridges are what matter." A family entered the pantry, a mother with 2 children. The woman's eyes were red, her movements careful. Jennifer recognized the posture, the shame of needing help, the fear of judgment. "Welcome," Jennifer said warmly. "I'm Jennifer. I run this place. Can I help you find what you need?" The woman's shoulders relaxed slightly. "I'm not sure. We're in a hard spot right now." "I've been there," Jennifer said simply. She began pulling items from the shelves: pasta, sauce, rice, beans, canned vegetables, protein bars for the kids. "Start with these. Come back as often as you need. There's no limit, no judgment." The woman's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." "You're welcome," Jennifer said. "And when you're back on your feet, and you will be, maybe you'll volunteer here. Help the next family who walks through that door." The woman nodded, took the bags, left with her children, moving a little lighter than when she'd entered. Raymond watched the exchange with satisfaction. "You're good at this." "I learned from experience," Jennifer said. "Turns out that's the best teacher." She thought about the past 3 years. The job, the apartment, the promotion, the foundation, her son's saxophone, his glasses, his confidence. She thought about the families they'd helped, the lives they'd changed, the futures they'd made possible. All from one whisper. *Will eat tomorrow. For words that had carried just far enough, had reached the right ears at the right moment, had created a chain reaction of generosity that was still expanding outward. Jennifer Torres understood now what she hadn't known in that grocery store. That words had power, even whispered. That pain could be transformed into purpose. That people who'd survived the hardest moments were often the ones best equipped to help others through similar struggles. And she understood that the distance between desperation and dignity wasn't as far as it seemed. Sometimes it was just one person willing to listen, one person willing to act, one person who decided that another person's suffering mattered as much as their own comfort. Raymond had been that person for her. Now she was that person for hundreds of others. And somewhere, in cities across the country, people were still whispering *We'll eat tomorrow* in grocery stores, parking lots, waiting rooms. Most of those whispers went unheard. But some didn't. Some reached ears that chose to listen. And every time they did, the world tilted a little closer to the way it should be. Jennifer finished her coffee, returned to work. There were families to help, programs to oversee, bridges to build between need and resource. The work would never be finished. But it was good work. Necessary work. Work that honored her father's memory and Raymond's kindness and her own survival. Work that turned whispers into echoes. Echoes that would carry forward through time, touching lives not yet lived, creating futures not yet imagined. One person at a time. One family at a time. One whispered plea at a time. Until the day when no one had to whisper *We'll eat tomorrow* because everyone had enough to eat today. That was the goal. That was the mission. That was the legacy of one overheard moment in a grocery store aisle. And it was only the beginning.